Aaron Cantu here with Coach Jay Deas. Coach, what has been the emphasis in camp heading into this rematch with Tyson Fury?
Health. That's the thing that's different between this camp and the last time we fought Fury. Last time we fought Fury, Deontay had a really he had injured his arm, his hand, and the right hand, and so even though it was well by the time the fight came, we had to save it in camp, and the timing just wasn't that. Plus, he wasn't resting like he should. He wasn't eating like he should. And now, having gone through that experience, he's getting his rest. He's getting his nutrition. He's using both hands, and he feels great.
Now, when I talked to you before the first fight against Fury, you told me you wanted to get Deontay in position from a range perspective, always putting him in the right position. Trying to replicate Tyson Fury as an opponent, has that been a real challenge for you as a trainer?
It's a huge challenge to replicate Tyson Fury because there's nobody quite like him. So you can't bring in anybody that would kind of do what he does quite as well as he does it. So what you have to do is kind of piece it together, and you bring in guys. I bring in guys that people think I'm crazy for bringing them in because they're like, he's nothing like Fury, but he's got maybe the same feints as Fury, or maybe there's a certain move that he does. And so we're putting pieces together and trying to create a whole picture. He's just a tremendous fighter with a tremendous skill set, and I mean I admire him greatly. That's why it's such a great challenge. I'm having so much fun with this camp, is because I enjoy that. I enjoy trying to break it all down, and Deontay's got such a high IQ that he's seeing things as well, and he's got 12 rounds in the bank, IQ wise, in the data bank. So he's already coming from a place. And don't forget, Deontay scored knockdowns in 9 and 12, not 1 and 4. If he had scored knockdowns in 1 and 4, and then not a knockdown, you would say that Fury had adjusted. But it wasn't that way. It was Deontay that had made the adjustments and scored 2 knockdowns in the last 4 rounds of the fight. That's important.
Definitely, Coach. Great point. Now I want to ask you about, he has 3 different trainers, you, Mark Greenland, and Coach Cuz, that he works mitts with. Is the purpose of that because you want to get him enough guys to filter in the volume work he does, or is it to create some diversity in his style?
It's survival. Yeah, he's hit me under the bodysuit, and I had to have hernia surgery. He hit me with the suit and separated a rib from the cartilage. He also has given Coach Cuz a fractured thumb and a fractured finger, and dislocated Mark's shoulder once or either twice. So he needs that many mitt men to do the work. Now, one of the byproducts of it, one of the advantages, is that we all have very different styles, and we all bring something different to the table, as it were. So that actually works out good, that we're not, because if one person is doing the mitt work and they're not getting it right, relative to the fight and how it's going to play out and the movements and those kind of things, then you're really off on the wrong foot. But because we have 3 of us, we're more apt to get the whole thing correct. And again, it goes back to how good we know we have to be, because this is big. This is a phenomenal fighter that we're in there with, and we want Fury at his best, and we want Deontay at his best.
Definitely, Coach. And the magnitude of this fight is so big. I mean, do you believe, first, is Deontay Wilder the most prolific and devastating one-punch knockout artist in boxing history? And with a sensational win against Fury, does that put him in the discussion with the best American heavyweight champions of all time?
I think and I'm a historian, so I understand that young people have a very young perspective. You go to the NBA and they're going to pick somebody in the last 5 years. You go to the Major League Baseball, they're going to do the same. So I'm looking all the way back, starting at John L. Sullivan, and going to Corbett, and then going to Fitzsimmons, and then going to Jeffries, and then going to Johnson, and then going to Willard, and I'm going all the way up of who beat who. And even doing that, Deontay probably hits harder one-punch power than anybody that's come through that I've ever seen. I mean, his knockout ratio is phenomenal. People used to not believe it, and they would denigrate the opponents. They figure, he can't hit that hard. These guys must not be very good. But now that you've got the Staverns, and you've got the Ortizes, and you got the Brazils, and you got the Furies, and everybody he's fought has said the same thing. Like, nobody hits like this guy. If you don't believe that, like if you don't believe Ortiz, when he tells you somebody can punch, then I guess you just can't be convinced. But I think he does have that kind of power, which is historic. And I think that with a devastating win on February 22nd, that yes, he does put himself up there, not just with the Americans, but with the worldwide, with any heavyweight in history. You're talking about a guy that will have done things that haven't been done before. Generational thing. I hope people appreciate it.
Great points, Coach. Now, I don't want to keep you too long. I got one more question, and then I got a series of questions on a specific topic. I want to get your take on Anthony Joshua. I remember when Deontay Wilder, they would always question his legitimacy as a champion before the first Ortiz fight. Once he got that signature victory, then you started to see more people come around to the idea that he is a legitimate champion. And, Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua were ridiculing him because of that before. But now the tables have turned, and it's almost as if Anthony Joshua is searching for legitimacy, considering he hasn't faced Deontay Wilder nor Tyson Fury, the two best guys in the world.
Well, the whole thing is, I don't even want to talk about him because we've tried. We did everything we could, and the fight didn't happen. It's documented. We offered $50 million. They said no. They offered 15 and we said yes, and it still didn't happen. And so you know what we did? We said, who's the biggest name that does want to fight? And Tyson Fury stepped up and said, I want to fight. And he did. And they did. And they put on an epic fight. And now we've got the rematch. So there's really nothing else to talk about. I mean, I want to talk about the guys that want the biggest fights. And they can, people can say whatever they want. And I know that there are people that are real slick talkers in this game and all that. But the truth is the truth. And the truth is that Deontay Wilder is the heavyweight champion of the world, and he is seeking the biggest challenges, and he always has. And Tyson Fury is the biggest challenge, and Tyson Fury is the guy who wants to fight, and not the guy that's saying he does but finding every reason not to. Tyson Fury is the real deal. Deontay Wilder is the real deal, and those guys are fighting.
Good deal. Okay, Coach, last